Well, welcome, my fellow experimenters. And I hope you're taking that to heart because you are in the trenches creating an experience of the clarity that you want to seek and that you want to have. And I really should stop using the word seek because it's about the clarity that you want to experience. And so, again, welcome, fellow experimentors. So, I want to start off this first unit which is the chaos to clarity framework, which is the foundation. But I want to start off kind of giving you an overview of your entire journey. And to do that, I'm going to refer back to my 360-degree success solution work here. So I'm just holding it up so that you all can see it. And this is the whole journey, okay? And there's three major barriers that we have to overcome. If you're down here at where you don't want to be in terms of lack of clarity or lack of the results that you're looking to create in your life, and the results that you haven't yet experienced on a consistent basis is way up here, then this is the general journey to do that. You're down here in a lack of income, or the results that you don't want are, for example, health issues or fitness issues. And where you really want to be is up here. This is the same kind of emotional journey, and they all have the same basic three barriers that we have to be prepared for and overcome. And so you'll notice that each of the three barriers correspond to three different breakthroughs that take you through those three barriers, as well as it's the layout of the three units here. In other words, down here, the first barrier that we're going to come up against is the chaos to clarity. So it's the confusion barrier, and we need a framework for dealing with that. And then it's the inertia barrier, and that's the confidence breakthrough. Notice how unit number 2 is the clarity to confidence, transforming that into confidence. And then the third one is the inspired action, which is another word for momentum, but meaningful momentum that comes from you personally, from the inside, from your inspiration as opposed to motivation. You're going to discover that I believe that motivation is actually a barrier keeping us stuck. Now, the thing that I want you to notice is that there's corresponding feelings, emotions that are attached to each one of these areas as you start to approach your coming up on the confusion barrier, and as you start to have the clarity breakthrough, you're going to notice a series of emotions. That is to say, if you're truly down here in this area here where you're stuck, and if where you're really trying to get to is up here, then you're going to notice that the kind of emotions that you're going to be feeling, the kind of challenges that are going to be going on are going to be anywhere from depression to fear to anger to frustration and a whole host. These are just labels, right? These are just words for different types of emotion. And whatever you call it, only you know what it feels like. The point that I'd like you to just start to understand here is that as you start to see what the emotions are that you're experiencing, that it's actually the path to stepping up to the next level. And too often we try to go from way down here all the way up here in one fell swoop. And we get really pissed off, frustrated, and annoyed when we can't do it. And unfortunately, all the input that we seem to see in the world, has to do with that you can do it, and it should be simple, and it should be easy, and see, just do it 1, 2, 3, and boom. And the reality is that there's a journey through this whole process here, and if you've never made your way through that journey before, in other words, if you're still stuck in confusion, if you're still stuck in lack of clarity, then going straight to motivated action, got to get into it, beat it up and make it go, that's almost an impossible leap, even from down here, from these types of emotions when you're feeling frustrated and all of the things up here. And then even so, when you get into the confidence levels and you start to break through the inertia and you take your first steps forward, well, then you're going to have some other things that you're going to have to conquer along the way. And so the idea here is to keep a check on all of this and celebrate the small improvements in the emotions as you reach for the next better feeling place, the next space of clarity. You might not have total breakthrough in understanding, but if you move from, say, depression, hopelessness, and feeling helpless, does helpless feel better or worse than hopeless? And somewhere in there is depression. And I mean, I'm just giving you some examples. Now, for me, helpless feels much worse than feeling hopeless. Now, both aren't great, right? Both aren't going to get me to the breakthrough that I'm looking for. But down here in feeling, if I'm feeling helpless, that means that like I have zero control over my life. There's, it's just, and there's a whole bunch of different emotions that might be attached and connected to feelings of hopelessness and feelings of helplessness. Like there's nothing that I can do, so why even bother, that type of thing. But then if you move slightly better, at least for me, the way that it feels is like when I move into hopelessness, now that feels a little bit better because now it's not like it's not as bad as being helpless, as being, just the straight up victim. There's nothing I can do about it. And so the emotions that are all connected with feeling helpless versus feeling hopeless, well, hopeless feels a little bit better. And then from hopeless, I can feel a little bit like, like, damn it, I'm pissed that I'm in this space. And so then I might bridge into anger. And then anger, but see, now, doesn't anger feel better than feeling hopeless or feeling, like you're stuck in somebody's corner? So like the point here is that depression feels worse than fear, and fear feels a little bit better than depression. And anger is going to feel better than being fearful, than being stuck. And frustration is going to feel better than anger. So the point is, again, to not go from way down here and then reach for and get pissed off that you can't get there by you listening to everybody else. See, I mean, like somebody that is saying like it's simple, it's easy, it's quick, maybe they're already up here on this particular subject and it is simple, easy, and quick for them because they don't have nearly as long of a journey to go through as you do to get there. The other thing that I'd like you to just pay attention to is that you're the only one that can say whether the emotion that you're reaching for is slightly better, brings you a slightly better relief than the previous place that you were. And it's a lot easier to move through it if you'll reach for that next just slightly better feeling from wherever it is that you are. Including if you're up here in these states of mind, there's always a little bit better that you can reach for that will send you sky high into the stratosphere. And that's why we hear about the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. And likewise, unfortunately, the worse it gets, the worse it gets, the worse it gets, because we can get stuck in that positive spiral up, or we can get stuck in the negative spiral down. It's all about what you say is important to you. So it's really important that you start to give thought to, as we've already discussed, what are your goals? Where is it that you, where am I? Where is it that you say you want to get to, right? Not where is it that I think that you should go, or where is it that everybody in your life says this is what you should really want. No, let's make sure that what you're saying, that your ultimate success is something that you've specifically chosen for yourself. And then, if you've never experienced it before, great, because that means that you're looking to have some real, true breakthroughs. Because too often we forget that a breakthrough happens after the breakdown. And the breakthrough can only happen because we've experienced that breakdown. because we're so frustrated, we're so backed up, then we can have a true breakthrough. And what a breakthrough means is that things are not the same ever again on that particular subject, on whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, that it changes everything. You may attempt to go back into that, but you can no longer go backwards in time, so to speak. Is that it's a true breakthrough, and it propels you forward such that it changes everything. So we have 3 major breakthroughs to achieve as we're going through this journey. And really what we're talking about here is something that I've alluded to previous already, which is the tale of 2 paths. I think that there's a lot of people that are on any subject, particularly right now. You will find people that, like, there's very few people that are just so brand new to something on any subject that they don't have a clue what to do right now. There are a lot of people that have learned a lot of stuff about a lot of things and are scared because they need outside validation to get moving, or they are stuck in that collector mode versus builder mode. And that's the tale of 2 paths. That's the big barrier standing in the way of people creating momentum in to achieve success, is that, are you stuck in collector mode where you're like gathering up the information, but now, oh my pretty, I'm going to put this nice bit of learning on the shelf here so that I can be proud of it, and I'm not going to let it part. I'm going to collect it, and then I'm going to get the next thing that I'm going to collect and put up on the shelf, and the next thing, or am I going to actually use it and start building out on it? And there's so many people that are trapped there, that they really, if they had somebody to shadow, to model, they would make massive progress faster than they even knew they could, because of all the stuff that they've done up till now. If they just had a little courage and a little shot of inspiration over motivation. I don't know anybody that can't use that as a positioning tool right now, because ever since I learned about experiential learning versus didactic, linear learning, that I call it, it was life-changing for me. And that's learn by doing, or learn and do simultaneously. Really, at the core of it, what controls those 2 things are circumstances-driven path or a vision-driven path. And are you living your life out of the circumstances or out of the vision for where it is that you are determined, that you've made up your mind, that you say you're going to go to? Now, really, in essence, what we're doing here with each of these 3 units, with the whole journey here, is to put us on to the path of not only just temporarily living from vision, not only temporarily being a momentuming builder and achieving momentum towards the things that you're building in your life, but to have the shift, to be able to, at the end of this experiment, for you personally to know that your new set point is more often than not in the builder category, that your set point more often than not is inside the living from your vision to what you say is going to happen, and making that materialize, making that manifest because you said so. And if you'll recall, I talked about the because you said so superpowers, which we've got to awaken in you. We've got to awaken in all of us. You've got to learn that it's actually there, and just simply, what's the combination, so to speak, so that you can access it, and not only just access it once in a while accidentally, but access it constantly in your life. That inner strength to be able to trust myself, and not only trust myself, but to access that sense of confidence and calm, where I know that the only validation that I need to move forward, to decide to do something, to create something, is simply because I said so, and that I no longer need outside validation to give me permission to achieve something. It doesn't mean that I don't need help, or that I don't ask for assistance, or that we don't look for things outside of ourselves. It means that we're not looking for somebody else to give us permission to move forward, or to tell us that what we're doing is right or what we're doing is wrong. The only thing that matters is, do we feel that it's right or wrong, quote unquote, given what we say we're up to, and that we can validate whether we're on course or off course towards where it is that we're trying to get to on an individual basis on our terms. So that's the kind of breakthrough that we're talking about you guys experiencing and actually having become your new set point. Because I said so, because you said so, it is. And I'm going here, not because I think it might be possible. I'm going here because I said so. And I access that because you said so power. Now, the entire journey here is really about, and the 3 different units and the 3 different frameworks, is to get you to the point experientially in your life where you're truly able to live it, and to help you build that habit along the way, so that more often than not. Now, will you have bad days? Will you have days that you slip back, even when you get to the third? Of course you will. But the idea is that we're going to follow Carl Jung's great advice, where he said, if you make the unconscious, he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate. And the point is that if you've never experienced consistently the kind of meaningful momentum, the kind of results that you're looking to achieve right now on this subject, then it means that you're probably living from the tale of 2 paths, from the standpoint of the collector side of the equation versus the builder side of the equation. And so again, this is all about having the journey all the way through that process, so that you can live there more often than not, and come from manifesting your vision because you said so, and accessing it because you said so, and having that inner confidence, that inner conviction that you know that you've intentionally manifested the results that you're looking to manifest, that it wasn't accidental, it wasn't some fluke, and it wasn't temporary. You're not going to have to go back and reinvent yourself. Now, again, of course you're going to have bad days. Of course you're going to have days when we are going to be confronted, and we're going to slip back into feeling as though we're living from our circumstances, and maybe not even notice it for a bit, that all of a sudden I'm back in collector mode. I'm back in living from the circumstances, living inside of the situation of what is currently right now, as opposed to what I really want to achieve, what I'm looking to create in the world. And the difference is that when you bring yourself through this, that you'll start to be able to recognize it, and you will actually be making the unconscious conscious. And so that's how you're transitioning out of that fate-based, like it's just the way it is, versus I'm in control of my destiny, and I'm taking my power back, and I'm empowering myself to go for what I really want in life, and to consciously choose those things for myself. Not unconsciously going for them, but consciously choosing for it, and consciously making a decision to observe when I'm living in collector mode. Because when you're in collector mode, or when you're operating as a collector, as I did for many years, and I still do from time to time, it's when you start to gather up all the information, all the knowledge, and you collect it. Literally, you collect it, because you're gathering it up, you're gathering it up, you're gathering up. Never enough. I'm always trying to get to some place down the road to gather more information, to get more of it, so that I can get better, so that and I'm never there because I always have to collect the next piece of knowledge or the next technique or the next, you follow me? So we've talked about this ad nauseum, and yes, I'm beating a dead horse, but I think it's really important to have some of this repetition so that it really truly starts to get internalized, so that you start to own this rather than just know it intellectually. I don't want you to collect up more of this knowledge and be able to tell it back to me and somebody else and explain the techniques. I want you to be able to demonstrate them in your life as it pertains to you, as it fits for your particular situation. The first thing that you need to start to become aware of in the chaos to clarity framework is these particular emotions right here. Is where are you as you start to move your way towards frustration? And think of these not as maybe a lateral move, but think of them as like stair steps so that it brings you closer and closer and closer to the confusion barrier, which is great news because you're about to have the clarity breakthrough on the subject, right? So what I would like you to take note of is, what are you feeling right now? What is it that you're looking to achieve? What have you done in the past? What are some open loops? And I want you to write down all of the open loops that you've been experiencing as you go through this. Like, and by open loop, I mean, like, what are all the things that are taking up your mind share and your heart share that's distracting you, that's having you tend to be overwhelmed, that's adding pressure to your heart, the heaviness. Every time we pursue something and we start off really excited about something, and then it doesn't quite work out the way we want it to, so we get downtrodden and we feel bad about that. And then we stack that up as another quote unquote failure or thing that didn't work. And then we look for the next thing. Well, this one, now this is going to be different because of this. And all of those things are open loops. And I want you to just take note of them. What are they? What have you attempted to do in trying to solve this problem before? And as you think about it, not when you were first enrolling in it, but as you were thinking about it back right now in this moment, what are the emotions that you're feeling? And if you're feeling anything on the subject down here in these areas, or something that could be considered negative, and including frustration, overwhelmed, like you're just like you feel like maybe you're just one tweak off, and if I just get clarity on this one thing, then I'll get it, and I'll find, that's still down here in this area here. And so what are your emotions? And these are my labels for it. These are what I'm calling it, but you get in touch with what you're feeling. And so with every open loop, what I'd like you to do is just on the corresponding side on a worksheet here is put in the emotion that you feel connected with it, because that way you'll be able to literally start to walk your way through. And instead of maybe what the whole problem of why you're not able to reach the breakthroughs and see the results that you want to see up here, maybe the whole reason is that you're trying to do too much too fast. And when you just look at incremental steps and reach for the next thought or the next feeling that you can set point there. The interesting thing is that you say, well, I don't want to take forever to do this. When you get good at this, you can move through that journey in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Now, in the beginning, it took me, when I was first getting used to this, several days, weeks, months, depending on what I was working on and depending on how big it felt and how big that gap was, how emotionally distraught I felt, like, or emotionally far away from achieving the results that I wanted to achieve. So that's the first step in this journey, is to write down those open loops. And connected with that, I'd like you to look at, like, if you're saying to yourself, well, the reason why I haven't been able to achieve it is because blank, whatever that because is. Cool. I want you to notice what that is and then look at that in terms of our tale of two paths. Are you looking at that from the circumstances? Is that your come from? The circumstances, the situation of what is right now? And is that generating the emotion? Is that generating whatever you're feeling in that moment because of the situation, because of the circumstance? Or is it more like you're moving towards what it is that you want to have happen? You can still have quote unquote negative emotions, even if you're coming from your place of vision and moving towards being a builder. And oftentimes actually you'll feel the stretch because there's tension, there's major tension. If you're well aware of where you want to be, as in, living from vision, and you're well aware now down here that you're not living in vision right now, well, then that can be a very positive tension. That can actually pull you, because now you're well aware of where it is that you are looking to achieve, what you're looking to have happen, and how you're looking to live from vision. And the interesting thing about this that I really want you guys to take to heart is that I had no clue. Nothing had changed in my situation in that moment. Nothing had magically shifted in my bank account or my finances. None of that had shifted except I had shifted internally, and I had this peace. I actually did not need to enroll in the program because I got so much value out of just that process of coming to terms with it. And how do I know that to be the case? Well, it's kind of funny. Like, I didn't go back to my regular life feeling like, oh my God, I got to figure out this money, and I got to, I have all this extra pressure that I just put on myself. I just said, it is because I said so. I wasn't acting it anymore. I was being it. I truly felt that way. And out of that peace, I knew, all right, it gave me that clarity. It gave me that space, that relief, that I could see new opportunities, or that I could be open to new opportunities. And a funny thing happened. I don't believe that I worked any harder. In fact, I think I worked less. I think I was more at ease. It was just easy. And somehow, I don't know how, without consciously, motivated action and beating it up and going after it, my type A drive personality, make it happen, take control, somehow it just all happened. And an extra like $5,000 appeared within the next month, over and above what I had to have for my life. It was an extra earnings that seemed to like unexplainably come from nowhere. Now, of course, it was always there, and of course it was, but now I was allowing it in. And that extra space gave me something that I will never lose again. And that every time I go back there, and it doesn't mean that I don't struggle with it from time to time and forget when I'm not operating from vision, and forget when I'm not accessing because I said so type energy, I'm getting too dialed into getting validation from the outside world and getting permission. But when I stop for a second, tune into the fact that I'm actually doing it, and I make that unconscious conscious again, I immediately go to that place where I know, oh, I created that. And then out of that, and I want you to know something, that within 18 months from making that decision, I was not just a millionaire on paper, but I was a cash millionaire. And the one difference was for me is that I was consistently working from my vision, and it was from my vision because I said so. Because you said so is so important, and you can access it right now in this moment because you said so. All right, get to work. I'll see you in the next one. And please, please, please give me feedback, give me comments, interact with me on this so that I can fine tune this, so that I can make clear, so that I can trim it down, whatever has to be. I'm committed to iterating, to being the experimenter myself in terms of facilitating this for you experientially and adapting it for your particular circumstances and situations in your life so that you can see when you're living from those circumstances and situations, and when you're intentionally shifting into because you've accessed the because you said so type energy. and your superpowers that are laying await for you right now. I'll see you in a little bit.